please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
This week on Storyboard, we speak to David Roth, CEO, the store WPP EMEA and Asia, and Vishik Talwar, MD, Kantar Millward Brown South Asia, on the sidelines of WPP's Brand Z Top 75 Most Valuable Indian Brands Report 2018. And we also find out which brands made it to the top 10. Indian sportswear market is booming and we have quite a few players entering this market. This time round, it's Warren Buffett's Brooks Sports. We catch up with Justin Dimsey-Chiam, Director of International Business Development at Brooks Sport INC, and speak to him on the potential of the Indian running market. And a 5-judge Supreme Court bench struck down on Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code last week. Many brands hailed the decision in their own unique way. We get you the creative work that we love to watch on this week's notice board. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. This is Shibani Gharat. HDFC Bank was ranked as the most valuable brand in WPP's Brand Z Top 75 Most Valuable Indian Brands Report 2018. The leading bank in India saw a 21% rise in the brand value from last year and stood at the brand value of $21.7 billion, according to the report. There were two new brands which were not featured in last year's report were among the top 10 most valuable Indian brands in 2018. The first was LIC at second place, and it was followed by Tata Consultancy Services at number 3. This year, the report ranked India's top 75 brands instead of the usual 50 to better reflect some of the new age brands that have become popular in India in the consumer internet era. Let's take a look at the brands that made it to the top 10, and we also catch up with David Roth, CEO, the store WPP EMEA and Asia, and Vishik Talwar, MD, Kantar Millward Brown South Asia, on the sidelines of this report. David, Vishik, welcome to Storyboard. This year you have expanded the category of 50 most valuable Indian brands to 75. What was the real need to do that?
Well, when we started 5 years ago, 50 seemed like a lot of Indian brands. But over the course of the last 5 years, India's changed, the consumer's changed, priorities of consumer spend has also changed. So we thought that it was the right time to celebrate 5 years, to increase the number of brands, to be reflective of, I suppose, a much more confident India and an India where consumers are spending their money in a slightly different way.
Okay, so it's not a strategy to make all the brands happy, is it?
Sadly, it's impossible to make all the brands happy.
Of course, it's definitely a part that we want to honor more number of brands, because we have a mix of both international brands as well as local Indian brands, and there are a lot of good, great Indian brands, and it's high time we start honoring as many brands as we can. Just to add to what David was also saying, in this whole space there have been a lot of new age brands that have got added, and those also needed, space, and therefore that multiple reasons why we decided, to.
Can you share a few examples of these new age brands that have grown over the past 1 year?
Many brands. So the whole the startup culture that came in. There were brands like Flipkart, Paytm, Ola, all have come in very in a very short period of time, delivered or redefined the respective industries, given the consumers an experience that they were looking for, delivered it well, and have and our papers and newspapers and everything are full of the valuations and brand valuations. They were, you can see them, the way they're being honored in terms of their valuation. So that was another one that we to give space to such brands as well. Yeah.
So amongst these 75 top most valuable Indian brands, if you look at the top 10, it's dominated by banks and financial services institutions. What is the reason for that? Why do you think banks and financial services institutions are the top, the most brands in the top 10?
They are the best brands. They just happen to be from the financial industry. Having said that, look at the sector, look at the financial sector. Perhaps it's been the most adaptive to the changing consumer requirements. We talk about the digital age. I think the consumers today are in the digital space at two places the most. One is entertainment, and the other place that they are is actually interacting or transacting financial either through payment gateways or online transactions. So it's something that a lot has, in that move to digital, has been led by the financial institutions as well. And it's been so. They've been responsive to changing whether they've changed their packages in terms of loan or the way they're restructured their whole services. I think they've been far more responsive to consumer needs, and that's why we find them as amongst the top brands.
Okay.
I think one of the really interesting things looking at on a global perspective is how innovative HDFC, as an example, is seen here in India. And on the whole, across the world, banks are not seen as particularly innovative. And I think that's a very unique positioning that HDFC has here in India, and probably could teach a lot of lessons to a lot of banks around the world.
There were many things when I read the report, and I have gone through the entire report, in fact. There were many things that surprised me, but personally to you, both of you, what were the most surprising findings that came across from this report?
To me, the brands in India are positioning themselves in a much more confident way, and brand India outside of India is being seen as a much more sort of vibrant, much more exciting, much more confident nation.
Okay. What about you, Vishik?
Having introspected a fair amount of data around the findings, I wouldn't say that anything surprised me, but what was an interesting fact is trust has been integral to any brand building. In this year, or over the period of time, the role of trust has multiplied in building a brand. And it's not that the brands were not trustworthy earlier, or it was, the trust was not playing a great role in it. It had to play, but the role has just got multiplied in this. And you look back, the marketing world or the brand world hasn't done anything to, done so drastically that there should be a mistrust, and therefore the role of trust should increase. But the environment around, which is equally what consumers are consuming, there are lots of indications. For instance, the amount of fake news that's happening. So maybe all those has impacted them, where they're looking far more from trust, from a brand in terms of trust.
So in your report, you state that 478 million mobile internet users are there in the country. How does this impact on what kind of impact will this have on the way in which a value for a brand is built?
I think to start with, mobile changes everything, and we've seen this in lots of other markets around the world. Once consumers get mobile technology, they have instant access to a whole series of things, and enables them to make all sorts of brand choices, and to get a whole series of more information than they had before. So I think, to me, lots of things start to change. How you communicate, how you reach your audience, what you talk to them about, and making sure that from the information right the way through to the purchase, that can be done well, quickly and efficiently on a mobile device. So I would say to every brand owner to think mobile first, and then look at other things afterwards.
So, gone are the days where promotions were the only, promotion was the only thing used to build a brand's value. The world has become more complex. There are more, there's social, which plays a big role. There is analytics, which plays a big role in tracking and driving those consumer insights. So in such a scenario, how can brands truly build values for themselves?
The metrics haven't changed. What has changed is the way the consumers have adapted to the different world. What ways will you connect, emotively connect with the consumers is going to, you need to adapt it to the changing environment. You'll have to be grounded in terms of consumers and take the brand along the same consumer journeys that you see. So the fundamentals won't change, but yeah, the way you execute will change.
Now, I think also you can drive sales with promotions, but actually it's very difficult to drive a brand with promotions. You know, you need to be giving the consumer a really good reason as to why you should trust the brand, a really good reason that that brand is different to everything else that's on the marketplace, and a really good reason why that brand should be top of mind for them when they're thinking of buying it.
You know, I mentioned earlier some of the things in the report really had me surprised. One of them was when you say that premiumization becomes clearest path to growth. But in a price-conscious country like India, how is that possible?
Well, I think it's fair to say that most markets around the world are becoming more and more price-conscious. Consumers are becoming very discriminatory about where they spend their disposable income. I think there's a massive difference between the cost of something, which is the price, and the value that you as a consumer put against that product. And I think what we're seeing more and more is that great brands are seen by consumers as giving them great utility and great value. And for those brands, consumers are willing to pay a price premium, and that enables you to then segment your products to create a layer of those products that are more premium, that deliver greater utility, and that deliver even more value to the consumer. They may well cost more, but the value they deliver is absolutely massive. And of course, at the end of the day, that's one of the fundamental reasons to invest in brand building, because it gives you the opportunity to command a price premium, but that price premium is only as good and is only as valid as the consumer is prepared to pay for it.
Finally, what use will social be when it comes to driving value for a brand in the coming days?
Well, one of the key drivers of value is awareness of the brands and the association of that brand, and I think that social clearly plays a phenomenally important role in making the brand, people aware of the brand and making that brand salient. And I think one of the other really interesting issues that social helps to deliver is adding to that notion of trust, because not only do I think we need to understand how people trust the brand, but the other component of brand trust is also recommendation, how frequently they recommend it to people. And obviously social, in your social networks, what you talk about, the products you say you've bought, the products that you're recommending to your friends, is becoming a very important ingredient in your selection of brands.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It is time for us to take a short break. On the other side of this break, we speak to Justin Dimse-Chiam, Director of International Business Development at Brooks Sports Inc., about the potential of the Indian running market and why Brooks thought this was the right time to set their foot into the country. And on this week's notice board, we get you some of the work created by brands after Section 377 of the IPC was struck down by a 5-judge Supreme Court bench. Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. High-end international shoe brand Brooks Sports, fondly known as Brooks Running, is opening stores in India starting from Mumbai. In fact, it is the first 100% subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway, led and controlled by Warren Buffett, to enter India. The running and the performance wear market in the country is already very competitive, with the likes of Nike, Adidas, Asics, Puma and Reebok tapping into this market market very aggressively. We caught up with Justin Dimse-Chiam, Director of International Business Development at Brooks Sports INC, to understand what is going to be their investment and strategy for the country. Let's take a look at this chat. Justin, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thank you.
You know, you are a runner yourself, and you know that Indian running market is booming over the past couple of years. We see marathons happening practically every weekend. What is the potential that you see in India, and why did you think of entering India now?
Well, I would say first off, I had my first experience running in India this morning. I arrived late last night and then joined the Be Fit Running Club for about a 13K run around Juhu, and it was very hot and humid, but it was a lot of fun. You know, we view India as it is about the third largest running market in Asia, behind China and Japan. We estimate there's approximately 5 million runners, which puts it on par with a lot of Western markets in terms of the opportunity. And we see that, as you mentioned, with the growth in marathon races and participation in those races, we see the boom continuing. And so obviously, yeah, Brooks would like to, as a performance running brand, we would like to be able to involve ourselves with the Indian runner.
Okay, so you chose Mumbai for your first 4 stores, four flagship group stores.
Correct.
Why Mumbai? Why not any other city in the country?
Well, I mean, we want to go to key economic hubs in any market that we start off in, and you'll see us. We're starting in Mumbai, but we'll have 2 more by the end of the year in Bangalore, and then as we go into 2019, you'll see expansion across the rest of India.
So you are fairly a late entrant as far as the other brands is concerned. We already have, you know, some of the majors coming into India. We have Adidas and Nike present for so many years. We had Puma for so many years. We have Asics and so many new brands coming into the country. They are very aggressive, and they are aggressively tapping into the Indian market. So what exactly is going to be your strategy?
Well, first let me address the timing that you mentioned. So Brooks is a premium performance brand, and in order for us to be successful in a market, we need to have the right partner who understands how to basically go to market. And we feel like we found that in our distributor partner, Contify Sports. They understand that as a premium performance brand with basically nothing under $100 at retail, which is approximately 8,000 rupees, you know, we're a high touch and feel brand that needs to be introduced to the consumer or the runner in the right way. And one of the things I learned this morning, which I thought was very interesting, is the Indian runner is very discerning, and they are very focused on performance and what's going to keep them running faster, further, longer, and healthy. And we feel like we're making the best running product in the world, and so it's a perfect match with that Indian runner. In terms of how we're going to go to market, you know, our partner Contify Sports, they've targeted the key running events around India over the next calendar year. So, you know, Mumbai Marathon for the 42.2, the Delhi Half 21.1. The Bangalore 10K, and then in Kolkata. So we want to hit all of the distances in the key markets so that we're able to introduce our brand to runners in that way. Alongside that, we obviously have our retail distribution strategy, and then online we'll have Brooks available on brooksports.in, as well as an exclusive partnership with Amazon.
Okay. So tell us about your pricing strategy for the country, considering that Indians are very, very price sensitive. So how are you going to price your products?
I mean, our product pricing globally is pretty par to the dollar, just based on relative to currency. So, you know, a $100 shoe is going to be relatively equivalent in rupees or in yen or in Aussie dollars around the world. And so that's, we're not differing from that strategy in India. I think what you're kind of referencing is whether or not the Indian consumer will accept 8,000 rupee and up product line. And I think that there is, as I said, I think we estimate there's approximately 5 million runners, not only that are avidly participating in the sport, but also have the economic means to invest in themselves and purchase 1 or 2 pairs of shoes a year to support their running habit. And absolutely, they're willing to spend that amount of money for the best product.
And of course, if you can afford such steep registration fee running all the races, you can definitely afford the shoes. You know, there's a marathon happening in India every weekend, practically every weekend. There's no such thing that we have something called as an off season, because there are runs happening throughout the year. You mentioned you're going to associate yourself with and you have highlighted key marathons across the country. So do we see any big associations coming up in the coming days? Do we see you in Tata Mumbai Marathon in a big way, or let's say an Airtel Delhi half marathon in a big way?
Well, at the outset, we're not going to become like the flagship sponsor of any of these events, although last weekend we were the fitness sponsor of the Satara Half Marathon. But we will be present at the expos to be able to introduce our brand, get our products on runners, and be able to not only introduce our products, but also, so our ethos is our tagline is run happy. And so what that encompasses or embodies is we want to be the #1 choice for runners worldwide, and regardless of whether you're competing or completing. So, you know, whether you're at the front of the pack or just running your first half marathon and hoping to finish, Brooks, as a, you know, all we do is the run. We want to be the running brand for the entire swath of people from start to finish.
So what is going to be your investment in the country over the next 1 year?
Over the next 1 year, as I mentioned, there's a huge investment going into the retail stores that will be opening. Obviously, the investment in the events and participating in those, and then there will be relatively robust kind of social media marketing. Condify Sports, our distributor partner, has hired a strong social agency to kind of connect us with the Indian runners and be able to have a dialogue and conversation with them. And then alongside of that, you have to have good content, and that involves having influencers, people that people want to hear from, and like yourself, in terms of what you're eating, how you're training, where you're racing, etc. And so our goal is to engage with some of the key influencers in the running community in India.
So sticking to social media and influencers, a lot of brands have, you know, the bigger strategy for marketing for many of the sportswear brands in India has been seeding clothes and, you know, seeding shoes to most of the popular fitness influencers across the country. What is it that you are going to do differently?
Do differently? Well, we're absolutely going to seed product to influencers, because we feel like if someone tries our product after being in a different brand, they'll absolutely be a convert and be an evangelist for our brand. So we will absolutely do seeding. But I think also one of the unique things about Brooks is, as a relatively small company compared to some of the brands that you mentioned earlier, we offer kind of like a family business atmosphere, and the people that are the athletes and the influencers that are connected to our brand, I think feel that, and that sets us apart. They are not just, I guess, another blogger that X brand wants to leverage. They're actually a part of the Brooks family, and that makes not only their kind of passion and commitment to us stronger, but also kind of it makes them more genuine in terms of they're true fans of the product.
All right, all the best for that. Thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on, at 11 a.m. on September 6th, when a 5-judge Supreme Court bench struck down Section 377 of the IPC, digital teams of practically every brand went into overdrive. Twitter and Instagram were flooded with posts from brands supporting the judgment and flaunting all the colors of the rainbow. While some brands changed their logos to show the support, others cracked a witty line or two. We get you the work that we love to watch. Let's take a look. With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching and we'll be back same time next week. See you soon.